You're suffering right now. Maybe not intensely, but it's there. A low hum of dissatisfaction. A sense that something's not quite right. And here's what nobody tells you. You're creating it. Every single moment of it. Buddha spent years figuring out why humans suffer. Alan Watts explained how we trap ourselves. Ram Dass showed us the way out. And they all discovered the same thing. The mechanism that creates suffering is so obvious. You've been staring at it your whole life and never seen it. I am Ananda. And in the next several minutes, you're going to see it. Once you do, you can't unsee it. Let's start with something you're suffering about right now. Don't lie to yourself. There's something. Maybe it's your job, your relationship, your bank account, your body. Something you want but don't have. Something you have but don't want. Got it? Good. Now feel into that suffering. Not the situation itself, the suffering about the situation. That tight, uncomfortable feeling. That mental spinning. That sense of this shouldn't be this way. That's Dukkha, Buddha's word for it. And most people translate it as suffering, but that's not quite right. It's more like unsatisfactoriness, a fundamental dissatisfaction with reality as it is. Here's the radical part. Dukkha isn't caused by the situation. It's caused by your relationship to the situation. You think you're suffering because your job sucks. But plenty of people have worse jobs and aren't suffering. You think you're suffering because you're single. But plenty of single people aren't suffering. You think you're suffering because you don't have enough money. But plenty of poor people aren't suffering. And plenty of rich people are. So what's actually happening? Buddha nailed it in the second noble truth. The cause of suffering is Tanha. Craving, thirst, the desperate grasping for things to be different than they are. You suffer because you want what you don't have, or you have what you don't want, or you have what you want and you're terrified of losing it. It's not the wanting itself. It's the attachment to the wanting, the identification with the wanting, the belief that you need that thing to be okay. Alan Watts explained this differently, but it's the same truth. He said we suffer because we think we're a separate self, an isolated I that's fundamentally separate from the rest of existence, and that separate self feels vulnerable, threatened, incomplete. So what does it do? It tries to secure itself. It tries to accumulate, control, defend. It builds walls. It grasps at pleasure and pushes away pain. It's constantly trying to make itself safe. But here's the cosmic joke. The separate self that's trying to secure itself doesn't exist. It's a thought, a story, a mental construct. You're not a separate thing trying to survive in a hostile universe. You're the universe itself, temporarily taking the form of a human being, pretending to be separate so it can experience itself. And when you're identified with the illusion of separation, you suffer, because you're living against your actual nature. Think about it. When are you suffering? When you're resisting what is, when you're arguing with reality, when you're saying, this shouldn't be happening, or I need that to happen, or I can't handle this. The suffering isn't in what's happening, it's in the resistance to what's happening. Ramdas put it simply, suffering is just not being here now. You're in the past, replaying what already happened, wishing it was different. Or you're in the future, terrified of what might happen, trying to control the uncontrollable. But right here, right now, in this moment, without the story your mind is telling about this moment, where is the suffering? It's not in the sensation. It's not in the circumstances. It's in the mental commentary, the resistance, the grasping, the rejection of what is. Here's how it works, moment by moment. Something happens, or doesn't happen. That's just reality being reality. No suffering yet. Then your mind says, this is bad, this shouldn't be, I need it to be different. That's the birth of suffering. Then your mind creates a story. This means something about me. I'm not good enough. I'm unlucky. Life is unfair. Now suffering is solidifying. Then your mind projects into the future. And if this doesn't change, I'll never be happy. I'm doomed. Now suffering is complete. But none of that is the situation. It's all the story about the situation. And here's the key. You can't control the situation. You can't control what happens. But you can stop adding the story. You can stop resisting what is. That's not acceptance in the weak sense, like resignation, like giving up. It's acceptance in the strong sense, like acknowledging reality, like saying, this is what's happening, whether I like it or not. When you stop fighting reality, suffering dissolves. Not because the situation changes, but because you're no longer at war with what is. The situation might still be uncomfortable. Life might still be challenging. Pain might still be present. But suffering, the mental agony, the endless spinning, the sense that you can't handle this, that's optional. Buddha didn't promise to end pain. He promised to end suffering. And that's the distinction nobody gets. So what do you do with this? First, catch yourself in the act of creating suffering. Notice when you're resisting reality, when you're arguing with what is, when you're lost in the story about what's happening instead of what's actually happening. Second, come back to right now. Not the story about now, not the past or future, just this breath, this sensation, this moment, exactly as it is. Third, let it be. Whatever's here, let it be here. Stop trying to make it go away. Stop trying to make something else appear. Just let what is be what is, and watch what happens. The circumstances might not change, but the suffering, the unnecessary mental torture, starts to dissolve. Because suffering requires fuel, and the fuel is resistance. Remove the resistance, and suffering can't sustain itself. This doesn't mean you become passive. You can still take action. You can still change what needs changing. But you do it from clarity, not from suffering, from presence, not from resistance. That's the secret all three masters knew. Freedom isn't getting what you want. Freedom is not needing what you want to be happy. Freedom is being okay with what is, while still working toward what could be. If this landed, if something shifted even slightly, then you're ready to go deeper. Because this is just the beginning. Subscribe. We're dismantling the mechanisms that keep you trapped. Not so you can feel good, so you can be free. And freedom is the only thing that actually matters. The suffering was never real, but the awareness watching it, that's what you are. See you next time.